Hello there. Welcome to Bloom and Wander. So, there's an idea that's fascinated me for years. Long before we had, the internet, Etsy, eBay, um, YouTube, there's the idea of people making a living from their homes. There were people who built furniture. They taught piano lessons. They baked bread. They, rebuilt engines in their garage. All along, people have been making a living in their own homes or on their own property, building cottage industries. It's that kind of thing that this country was built on. The idea of the entrepreneur forging their own path, not having to rely on a single employer or a single paycheck. We've discussed before how dangerous that could be. Companies go bankrupt every day, or they decide that they're going to use people offshore to do their work for them rather than the people here at home, or they bring people in from other countries to do the work instead at a lower rate, promising them visas and citizenship, if only they work for them for X amount of years. So these ideas aren't anything new. But we've seen, certainly in the last couple of decades, there's been events where one day you have a job at a company and the next day you don't. Whether it's the economy or a pandemic or just the employer decides to go another way, we can't afford anymore to be dependent on your employer or your paycheck. So I guess we were taught a simple formula way back when, not just during my lifetime, but before then. We were taught, you go to school, get good grades, you graduate, you get a job, you keep that job for 30 or 40 years, you develop a pension, you retire, live off the pension, you die. Well, it hasn't been that way for a while. We've seen people having to rely more and more on their Social Security income or their investments just to survive, because many companies aren't offering pensions anymore or 401ks, or people simply don't have them. Entire industries change. People get laid off through no fault of their own. One paycheck can't be your only source of income. And here in the US, for many of us, our health insurance is tied to our employer as well. So the company goes belly up or you lose your job, you also lose your health insurance. And many people find that they make too much money to get something like Medicaid or some other sort of social program. They just don't qualify. So I think we deserve to give ourselves options. We deserve to get back to the idea of those cottage industries, those ways of making a living that come straight from our home, what we can do at home through the skills we have or the skills that we can develop in order to make sure that we're not dependent on a single employer or a single paycheck. So about a little over 20 years ago, I made the acquaintance of this actress who, she was retired. She was an actress in the 50s and 60s. And her career kind of faded the way many do, but she didn't leave it at that. She had kids to raise as a single mom. She couldn't afford to just give up. So she reinvented herself. She baked bread at home. She started doing psychic readings out of the home. She found all these creative ways to earn a living for herself and her kids. She encouraged her other female friends to help each other out, build this community, do like daycare swaps or babysitting swaps, encouraging everybody to reuse what they had and not waste anything. And I think it's this really beautiful way of building community that we've lost along the way. There's a lot of resourcefulness in that. The word agency comes to mind. Point is that she refused to give up, and she refused to, crawl in a hole and die just because her industry, her previous industry, decided that she wasn't needed anymore. They just discarded her. I don't want to copy all of those ideas that she had. I think there was a time when they were useful, but I think we've learned more from the 60s and the political spirit that was going on then. We've learned that maybe they didn't have the right ideas about everything. But I do think that I can agree with the idea of being frugal, doing with what you have, helping other people out, and building something meaningful. So if you look around your house, your property, inside, outside, garage, look around and see, what do you already own? So do you already have a laptop? Do you already have a camera? Most of us who have cell phones have cameras. Do you have a sewing machine? Do you have books, bookshelves, an iPad? Do you have a garden out back? Do you have a patio where you could set up pots and grow things? Do you have any collections of anything? Can you play an instrument? What was your life experience? What was your professional experience? Do you know bookkeeping, for example? Can you tutor children? Can you write books? Can you, excuse me, my light's going out. There we go. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh, so can you write books? Can you teach watercolors? Can you work as a virtual assistant? Can you edit videos? If so, give me a call. Do you know quilting? My grandma made beautiful quilts. There are people who pay a lot of money for those kinds of quilts nowadays. Maybe you can create educational materials. If you used to be a teacher or something, you can create lesson plans and sell them. You can walk dogs. You can teach English overseas via online platforms. You can start a YouTube channel. None of those things are anything that require a lot of money, but you can start exactly where you are. So your home is more than just a place you can sleep. We kind of get the idea of having a home as like something that's taking money from us because we're paying rent, we're paying mortgage, we pay insurance, we pay utilities. But what if our homes were a way of earning money rather than just a way of losing money? If you've got a spare room, you can turn that into an office. If you don't even have a spare room, if you just have a corner of your own room, maybe you can just set up your laptop there. You can have a craft room. Maybe you can just have like a little writing desk where you can start working. A corner, a studio. Your home doesn't have to be like a huge house. For example, the one I live in, I share, it's like less than 1,300 square feet, and most of my belongings are crammed into one room. So, I have very little space to work with, but I do what I can with what I got. One of the biggest mistakes that we make is believing that Every business has to be like some kind of multi-million-dollar company, and it's not true. Your business can just make a few $100s a month. It can maybe pay for your groceries, pay your cell phone bill, cover your electric bill. Maybe you can start making enough to cover your vacations. Maybe if it's just enough to like get you started on a retirement account. Even a few $100s a month or $1,000 a month can give you breathing room and relief so that you can focus, more on enjoying your life and not be stressed out about paying the bills all the time. People don't need to necessarily become rich overnight doing any of these things. There's a lot of, get rich quick type propaganda out there that, you set up doing bookkeeping and you're instantly making $50,000 a month in the spare time. And that's not true. Even just a few hundred here and there can be a huge help for most people. It gives you freedom, and freedom is about the ability to make choices. It doesn't need to be about making millions. Sometimes just having a little extra freedom is having enough. Building community versus competing with somebody. Working together instead of having an adversarial relationship with your other community members makes a big difference. The best businesses don't exist in isolation. Using a barter system. If I can, do a little graphic design for you, maybe you can give me a free oil change. Situations like that can make a big difference in improving our lives and improving our mindset. Being part of a community, buying from local artists, recommending other creators to each other, trading skills, sharing ideas, encouraging people who are just beginning. Something that I loved about that lady I talked about, her talking about her older cottage industry mindset. It's like people, you don't have to wait for a giant corporation or your government to solve your problems for you. No one's coming to rescue you, as they say. It's your job to rescue yourself. We can help each other. Neighbors can help neighbors. People can share their knowledge. If you know how to bake bread, you can teach someone else. If you know how to film videos, you can teach someone else. People helping people, and if you can sew my clothes, help me mend my clothes, maybe I can help you organize your finances. That kind of thing, that kind of cooperative spirit is what I'm talking about bringing back. Having community is our greatest resource. And I think over the past couple decades, they've taken that from us. And I think now is the time that we need to get that back. So here's my challenge for you all this week. So walk through your house, look at what you have, and ask yourself, what can I create from here? What can I do now? Not talking like 5 years from now or like when you borrow money from somebody to do something. I'm talking about right now with what you have. What can you create? Don't wait for everything to be perfect. What can you do today? Your living room might be the birthplace for the next great idea, the next chapter of your life. So give that some thought and share your ideas with me. Leave something in the comments below. And I want to hear from you what your cottage ideas are. What are you wanting to put together with what you've got? And if you're new here, welcome to Bloom and Wander. Please subscribe, like, share. And until next time, live, create,